to our people is we must research the language that we speak. That is imperative. Because words that you're speaking have denotative and connotative meaning.
It's the spell.
Truth and falseness. Also, we got to understand that there were glyphs, artwork, or pictures before there was letters and words. We must study our symbols. Because once you start to see those symbols, you wake up. I tell people, you see a symbol every day and you don't activate. China on the cable, the Eye of Heru.
Yes.
But do not activate. So we must understand that there's artwork and structures that we must see. And I'm going to tell you one thing, you use symbols every day, hieroglyphs every day, and don't even notice it. They call emojis. I see you have whole conversations with just emojis. That's glyphs in another form. So understand who you are as far as your ancient self, and you will wake your ancient self up in this modern time.
We not no fucking Moors, right? Now,
you know, I love the innocence and the simplicity of your statement. And I've seen, and I'm sure Cujo has seen many people who, I've seen them. Well, if it's really the law, then it's really the law. Let's go do it. And that's when you find out, no, there's a reason why you're being blocked from being who you are. Why do you think the Prophet Noble Charlie and others that call themselves leaders with the wrong way, maybe, say, well, you know, we got to come up with this uplifting fallen humanity, right? There's a problem. Because if I can say to this brother who's been saying for years, or sister, or whatever, especially to the sisters who are the ones who create the babies and put them into society and didn't teach them who they were from the womb out. That's what the importance is about this. It's not about, you know, because that's their duty. As society starts with family, so does the authority to govern. So these things are lacking from the people. So therefore, even if someone said it, like you said, as simple as it is, if it's not in the brain, if it's not on the mind, if you're indoctrinated to believe something else about who you are, then it doesn't become that simple. It's been generations and generations of lies about who we are and us believing that we are this. Like the biggest one is the enslavement. We walk around with this emotion about the fact that we are the slaves, and when really the first slaves was Europeans. Do we know that? No. So without having that knowledge, you can't put into perspective the simplicity that it seems that it ought to be for us to accept those words.
Moors were slave soldiers. Them Arabs and them Berbers is good for that shit. They take them black women hostage, they rape them black women, they have them mulatto babies, and they raise their ass. That's where you get them Moors from. Them the slave soldiers. Them Arabs is good for that shit. Y'all don't like to hear that, but they had armies and armies of slave soldiers. Them fucking Muslims, they had them shits. They still got them shits. You still see them in fucking Sudan right now. The army is fucking slave soldiers. You see it in Mauritania right now. Right now today. Right now today. Now, all I'm saying, family, is that that's not our lineage. Now, they're connected to us because they're from West Africa and they were taken hostage. We're from West Africa and we were taken hostage, but we were taken in two separate directions. Now, here's the thing. If you're going to claim to be a Moor, you're going to have to explain how you got 50 different tribes of black people in the Americas, none of which were Moors, that came across the Middle Passage, the descendants of which are owed reparations in this country. Now, if you claiming that you are Moor and that you didn't come from West Africa in the Middle Passage, that you was here already, that you a fucking Apache or some shit, how you want reparations? Apaches got their shit. They got reservations.
Reservation.
Damnation.
Oppression.
Small.
Sick. There's alcoholism, there's abuse, there's domestic violence, there's a lot of things that go on a reservation that really goes overlooked.
Just a compromise. It was an agreement a forced agreement probably, that Native Americans were put kind of out of the way, out of sight.
Prison. It's like where we're trapped.
I think it's the most common misconception about reservations.
That there's some kind of abundance, that natives are happy, that they're caring for each other, that they live in some ancient way.
Ooh, sad.
Poor. A concentration camp. Reservations were made to isolate Indian people in hope that we would die off.
Depressing.
Unfair, because they're not as good as other lands. They're the land that the government and people don't want.
Trapped? It wasn't great farmland, it wasn't great homeland, and so it kind of feels like a place off to the side.
Even to this day, the natives are fighting for rights to keep the little what they have.
There are no good reservations. Here's your reservation. You can't go across that boundary. This is your reservation. And I grew up on a Navajo reservation, and we're one of the few lucky people that got to remain where our homelands are. But there are other reservations where people were forced there, and they can't fend for themselves like they used to do in the old days. You can't hunt anymore, you can't fish anymore, because you're just stuck on a reservation on these substandard housing, living in third world country conditions. Youths killing themselves because there's no future, there's no hope. That's a reservation to me.
You see, we're just looking at past harms done, or we might even look at the disparities that continue to exist. But as long as we don't talk about those are symptoms of a system dynamic that is still ongoing. See, we have epidemic levels of the effeminization of men, which I say is a part, whether directly or indirectly, it's related to the dynamic within the system of racism and white supremacy. We have continuing high levels of HIV/AIDS infection. We have continuing process of gentrification, the removal of black people from urban centers. We have closures of public schools in areas where black people live. So all of this is ongoing, and if we get our feet and ankles entangled as we start focusing and prioritizing reparations and ignoring this, it will end up where the Native Americans are, in reservations and in basically a genocided and dead people.
You gotta do something, y'all black. That means you're dead. Legally. You better go book a room, motherfucker, on the reservation, because the fight for reparations is from the descendants. My ancestors. I'm a descendant. My people are descendants of people who were hit in the head on the west coast of Africa, betrayed, and sold to Europeans and brought to this motherfucker to English colonies. I'm not talking about you motherfuckers that wasn't in the English colonies. See, this is where the conflation comes in. Look, in 1804, the French sold the Louisiana territory to the United States. The French had a whole fucking colony of black people from West Africa in the Louisiana territory that wasn't a part of the United States. But y'all don't understand that. There was different groups of black people here at different times. The Spanish came in the 1500s. It was black people with them. You gotta do something, y'all black. That means you're dead. Legally.
It seems simple, it is simple, but there's something something else going on. And it's called the mental slavery and the hard-heartedness of our people because of what has been instilled.
Different groups of black people. You understand? You have to understand that you can't just lump everybody into one and say, boom, this is us. That's not how it worked. That's not how history unfolded. We didn't come here at the same time. We didn't come here under the same circumstances, and we didn't come here in the same place. When I'm talking about my ancestors, I'm talking about the English colonies. Stop conflating history and stop trying to trick my people by conflating history and then making straw man arguments to make some bullshit point about we some goddamn Moors when we are not.
Came a time in 1506, after we lost power in Spain, the Africans ruled Spain from 711. We were calling ourselves Moors, M-A-U-E-R-S, then M-O-O-R-S.
And that's realism-ism from your brother Larry.
It's really more or less about correcting what was misrepresented, because he asked, can a man be a Negro, black, or colored person? And the answer was no. It's something you could never be. Though you may be misrepresented on records, that's just something to correct. Thus, declaring your nationality is the key. That's all.
And then all other legislation they wanted to bring up, they brought it up and gotten it out of the way, and now they bring up you. And now they bring up you. You put them first and they put you last. Because you're a chum.
Political chumps. Yo, Khalid. Political chumps always clapping at lectures, won't take notes. Can't speak on what they know, they just quote. Civil rights lawyers won't tell blacks the truth or the difference between them for life or civil lit or mortus. Impropria persona, it's 2014. Blacks act like their brains on morphine. Think less, do little law studies. My more buddies wanna write a book for law dummies, cause they don't get it like teaching caveman rocket science. Politicians rule minorities within your pocket science. Pulling out dollars to give to those in white collars. Salivating, waiting for your green up collards. Calling themselves poor, but they spending millions and billions on everything but their own children. He was a good boy to mom on the couch living, but a heartless criminal and known villain. Political trump, treated like a political skunk, marching and picketing for civil-political junk. Wars of the crown, states they break, but won't respect nationality or their prophet's face. Not talking Muhammad, Yahshua or Buddha, but the Sharif they call Sheriff the Law Tutor. Founded a civic organization to build a nation, eradicating what the blacks were facing. Segregation, Jim Crow laws, enter through back doors and led on. They using rope as weapons, cause I slipped and touched a cave bitch wrist. They bomb my town and label me a rapist. I wasn't a secret, everybody saw, but to my people they never kill crackers but fighting their wars. To kill innocent people that did nothing to them, and only cuss out the ones that did something to them. distract you from your nation with false fear. Some black leaders are paid sellouts and some face crosshairs for speaking of things when they took an oath not to speak, giving you clues like promised lands and mountain peaks. Political champions proud of championship belts, political abuse against druids and celts, thinking that state ID makes you a citizen. Conscious Moors talk, unconscious Moors aren't listening, thinking they can have rights or get rights or earn rights when rights are exercised by those that live on earth, right? And rights come from human rights and human rights from birthrights. Have none and end up facing US Third Reich. You, just like you said, you chose to be innocent and stolen African spelled with a K that doesn't exist. Because Dr. Ben, who you just buried and you guys cried over his casket and stupid stuff like that, all you people have his book and he tells you that Africans are Moors. And you're going to play around that you're not Moors when Dr. Ben taught you that Africans are Moors. So you're saying Dr. Ben, he was making that up, right? Dr. Ben's a fraud now because, you know, he said Africans are Moors and y'all not going with that. So obviously y'all think that he's a fraud. Because if you're going to tell me here that you're a stolen African, then that means you're a stolen Moor. Because Africans are Moors according to Dr. Ben. But we'll let you stew. We'll sit right next to you and watch you suffer. Because it's your birthright. If you don't want it and you want to make up stuff why you don't want to be Moors, hey, do your thing. Like, you know what I mean? Do your thing.